Today on VolleyDons Weekly, we'll bring in head coach Ryan Rock Parat, and we'll talk a little bit about our 2 matches out in Phoenix, Arizona against Grand Canyon University. Then we'll bring in junior outside hitter Tony Price, and we'll talk a little bit about his injury and the hardship he's gone through this year. And finally, we'll bring back the star, Ryan Rock Parat, and we'll talk about our 2 upcoming matches this week against Ohio State on Thursday and against McKendree on Saturday. All that and more on VolleyDons Weekly. Welcome everybody to VolleyDons Weekly. I'm your host and assistant coach J.W. Keycafer. With me we have the star Ryan Rock Parat. And Coach Parat, how's everything doing today? Doing well, huh?
You answered my question. So.
Answer your question about what?
What do I need to say? If you say doing well, I don't need to answer.
Quick thank you to our sponsors, Alco, Active Angle, A6, Glenbrook Dodge, and the Hyatt Place. I don't know, what are we doing right now? I don't even know what we're doing.
Maybe that was a rhetorical question.
What was the rhetorical question?
How you doing? I'm doing well.
Yeah,
Thanks.
You didn't say anything. You just kind of stood there, or sat there, I guess.
2 psychics pass each other on the street, and one says to the other, "You're doing well, how am I?"
Just nothing but jokes this morning, huh? Or this afternoon. It's afternoon now.
Just throwing it out there.
So Coach,
do you know where you are? Do you need an army cot? Are you okay over there? Are you okay?
Coach, let's talk about our weekend out in Phoenix, Arizona. Out in the heat, the hot heat, 90-degree heat down there.
It was hot.
Did you enjoy it?
It was hot. You're okay. You need an army cot. He needs an army cot. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, obviously, the second half of the back-to-back matches.
Yeah, the second half of the back-to-back matches is a little bit better than the first one.
Of the first matches, that's for sure. Because I must have told our volleyball team that the match that we were playing was only Saturday. So
for all those who are watching and don't exactly know what happened this weekend.
I don't know.
On Friday, unfortunately, we lost in 3 sets to Grand Canyon, never scoring more than 20 points in all 3 of those sets. I think it was 20, 16, and 17.
Yeah, that's right.
So unfortunately, we didn't show up to play really that first match. The second match, we came out and actually played a really, really good ball the entire night. We won the first set 25-21, lost the next 2, won the fourth, I believe, 25-20. And then lost the 5th set, unfortunately, 17-19. So some really, really good volleyball. It was a 2018. I can't remember. One of those 2.
1917.
1917. So it was some really, really good volleyball by our team on Saturday. Grand Canyon just unfortunately made 1 or 2 more plays than we did in that 5th set, and that's really all it was. I thought some really good volleyball from both sides of the net.
Well, Friday's a wash. I'll eliminate Friday because Grand Canyon outserved us and outpassed us. They ran their offense to an efficiency level that was off the charts, and we were anemic. Saturday was a different story, and it was a different story for a couple of reasons. Number one, I believe we got off to a much better start. We were able to serve aggressively and pass the ball aggressively because our offense was very, very good. I think Grand Canyon thought the match was going to be easier after whitewashing us 3-0 on Friday. I really do. And then once we caught fire early on, I think they tried to scramble, and then they couldn't get back into it. The only reason I'm convinced that we lost that volleyball match on Saturday is because we got off to slow starts in 2 sets. And if we don't get off to slow starts, I think one of them we were down 7-0, the other one we were down 5-1. We don't go down those big holes, we win because we outplayed them the majority of all sets, to be quite honest with you. I thought we got some unbelievable performances. Nick Smalter was absolutely tremendous.
29 kills.
29 kills. He hit 451. He was just named the MIVA co-offensive player of the week. He was tremendous. I thought Michael Keegan played outstandingly well. I thought both of our middles, actually 3, because Kyle Fitzgerald came in at one point.
Did a really good job.
I thought Kyle, Ritchie, and Graydon played superiorly well. Austin held down the fort a little bit on the right side for us, and Jack did what he did at the libero spot. So I was, more so than anything, I was really impressed with our response and our effort. I thought the effort to play the game was much better. And when you can put yourself in a position to win, that's all you can ask for. It's about winning, yes, but I think still it's about the process and the effort, and the bounce back I thought was very good.
Yeah, you talk all the time about it's, obviously everybody wants to win, everybody wants to have that good feeling as they walk away, but sometimes it's more about the effort to win, the effort you put forward to get the victory, how hard you play to try to win. And I thought we executed very, very well for most of that match, and we played very, very hard. And when somebody just makes one or two more plays than you do, unfortunately, you just got to tip your cap and go on to the next one, and hopefully you can take the next one from them. I think we lost the third set 25-23, and then the last one we lost 19-17, or maybe was that one 28-26? That one might have been overtime points too.
30-28. We lost
30-28. So 2 sets really that were decided by 2 points. Could have gone either way. If we can find a way to just score 1 or 2 points in both of those sets differently, we walk out of that match with the win. So we got to go back to the drawing board and find a way to score those 2 points. But really proud with the way how hard we played throughout that match.
And I think the other big thing is, even though we've lost some tight matches this year, I think what it does is that it puts a question mark or a level of uncertainty for some of these teams getting ready for the postseason. Teams like Loyola, Lewis, Grand Canyon, even Ball State. Teams that we've played tight. I know we've beaten McKendree before in 5, but there are teams that we've lost to that I guarantee you teams are going, whew, I don't want to play them again come the quarterfinals on April 15th. So we'll see how that all pans out. But I really enjoyed the effort level of our guys on Saturday.
Talk a little bit about the lineup change we had this weekend. Unfortunately, we were without Pellegrin Vargas, one of the staples of our offense for this entire year. Unfortunately, he's got an injury right now. So talk a little bit about the changes we made to try to bring some more offense to the lineup, losing our kill leader for the year.
Yeah, well, Pellegrin injured his wrist a couple weeks ago at Quincy, Illinois. And so I had to make a change in regards to who to fill in at the spot. And over on the weekend, on Saturday, I decided to go with the new lineup and put Nick Smalter, our 5th-year senior, to play the swing spot or the next 2 position. This year, he'd be traditionally the opposite of the setter. And I put him there because, number 1, he's had experience. Number 2, he feels comfortable swinging on the right side a couple of rotations, which he can in the first rotation. And I just thought, as this NCAA basketball tournament's going on, both the men and women, all I hear the commentators talk about all the time is about senior production, senior leadership, senior this, senior that. And I go, you know what? It's time for a senior to produce. And thank goodness he made me look good on Saturday.
Yeah, and Austin East on the left side as well, or Austin East on their opposite, swinging back and forth too. So.
And I put him there because I needed a little bit more firepower. He's got a better arm than Alex Dickman, who's been traditionally playing the opposite spot. And I thought his serving has been productive throughout the course of the year. And he brings a different level of emotion and comfort to the guys. And you need some loosey-goosey guys on your volleyball team. I'm convinced of that on any sports team. And he's one of those guys that can break the tension, if you will. And I thought Austin held his own on the volleyball court as well.
Austin came in and did a really good job of solidifying and bringing some energy for us and doing necessarily playing offense, but doing the other little things really, really well. So coming up next, we're going to bring Tony Price on after the break, and we'll talk a little bit about his season this year. So come on back after the break.
Hi, I'm Carrie Cahill, and I want to tell you about a unique nonprofit that's served U.S. veterans since 1971. They're called Help Heal Veterans. They provide therapeutic craft kits to wounded veterans. The kits are designed by medical professionals to help with issues like mobility and dexterity. They also serve as art therapy for veterans with PTSD. If you're a veteran receiving health care or know of one you'd like to help, call or visit online to receive your free therapeutic craft kit.
You're always trying to keep your kids safe, right? What about preventing concussion? Concussion can happen anywhere, on a sports field, at the park, even at home. So you need to know the ABCs. Assess the situation, be alert for signs and symptoms, and contact a healthcare professional. Most kids recover completely, but seek care to help them get better faster. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. Keep kids safe. It's as simple as ABC.
Welcome back, everybody, to VolleyDons Weekly. I'm your host, JW Keycafer, and with me we have junior outside hitter Tony Price from good old Fort Wayne, Indiana. Right here, hometown Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your mom and a bunch of the influences you've had here in Fort Wayne, being frigid from Fort Wayne, and her playing for ex-head coach Arnie Ball and kind of that role that you've had in your life.
Right. Well, yeah, obviously she got to play for Coach Ball, so I was lucky enough to get a year under him. And not only is she a big factor in my volleyball career, but I also got to play for Dusty Sherman and Lauren Jeeber, who was an All-American. So a lot of influence on volleyball growing up, but, you know, I didn't start playing until my sophomore year of high school. I don't know why, but yeah, it's been good.
You got a lot of good teachers there. Your mom is one of the better players in the Division II history of Fort Wayne women's volleyball, IPFW women's volleyball, and obviously those two guys, as far as coaching goes, and LJ's playing career speaks for itself. How good of coaches they are. So how's everything going? Everything going well with the school year? Everything going well with that? I know you're kind of more into the school side this year than maybe you would have liked, unfortunately, with the injury going on. So talk a little bit about your major and the business stuff that you have going on for yourself.
Well, I'm a business management major, and I'm going to double major with marketing now. And yeah, it's been a lot more school-oriented this semester than it has been in the last. I plan my schedule around our games, our travel schedules.
Yeah.
You know, we had 11 home and 15 away. So I took 3 online classes and 1 in class. So I'm only in class Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 1:15, and just knocked my other stuff out. Tried to at the beginning of the week. Doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, it's going pretty smooth.
Good to hear. For all these who don't know, Tony Price is somebody who played a lot for us last year and played outside for us a lot last year, and then came back and was starting in the next to left side position, probably the most important position on the court for in terms of volleyball reasons, the person who gets the most out of system sets, the guy who you look to terminate as much as possible. Tony had really won that job over the fall and was really our most terminal left side, and unfortunately in the first match of this season in the second set, really big opposite from UC Irvine comes under the net right under Tony, and he lands on him and ends up tearing a couple ligaments in his ankle. So it's been not the season that Tony wanted, but I think he's been doing some good things from the standpoint of being a leader in the gym and being a leader for our guys. Talk a little bit about those experiences and how obviously your kind of outlook on the season's been changed a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's been a huge change. I learned, well, that's what happens when you jump higher. You know, you land second. So that's why I came down on his leg. No, it's actually been kind of nice to sit back and be able to see things. You know, I get to analyze the guys and see the situations that they're in and know that I was in the same situation, and I figure out, okay, well, this is how I reacted, so now I can think about that when I get back on the court and say, okay, react differently. Don't get so upset. Don't show the emotion. Chin up, always be positive, and try to pick other teammates up. Because when you get on the court, you get that adrenaline rush. It gets you going, and then you don't always see when somebody's down, or it doesn't affect you as much when somebody's down as when you're got that rush going. So I think it'll help a lot with me becoming a better teammate. That's for sure.
Do you think you've learned from just sitting and watching? And I think one of the biggest things that we always talk about is like watching videos. One of the ways you get better. Being out for as long as you have now, do you think you've learned a lot from just seeing the game and seeing things from different sides of the angle and trying to just get better mentally with the game?
I mean, yeah, you said it all. Just you see the game differently. I don't know. That's the only way I can really put it. Is I've learned more about the game by just simply sitting back and watching it. And of course, during practice and game stuff, I get to sit and talk to you and talk to Rock, so then I understand what's going on in your guys' head. And it's a lot different sitting back, seeing it all, in a different perspective.
One of the things you've done really, really well from the bench, especially in those home matches and a couple of the away matches you've traveled to this year, is kind of be that motivator for our guys to try to help them take the next step forward, especially with Richie Diedrich when he's on the court. You're in his ear all the time trying to help him get better. Is that something that you really told yourself you wanted to do here recently with the injury, not being able to play to make a difference, but make a difference in different ways?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I told myself that in preseason in the fall too, because you see, I don't know, it's not a great word to use, but you see the potential that everybody has, and knowing that like Richie came in, he was super young, and already being really a good volleyball player, but you could just tell he was so raw. And then at times throughout practice and preseason, Rock would say stuff and be like, okay, what's that mean, man? I'm like he is super raw to the sport. The simplest things that I get and I just hear and do it, he hears, and it's completely new to him. So I worked a lot with him on just showing him videos so he can maybe understand and hear it in different ways from because obviously he hears it from you guys, and then if I could try to put it in his head to hear it a different way, maybe something would click. And I think he's been doing a really good job with that. And that goes with all the mills I've been trying to help. And like the biggest thing is staying off the net that I've preached to him, because I showed him the angles. Like you know, if I'm in your face, hit around me. You got to hit sharp. If I'm this far away from you, now you don't have to hit as sharp, and it becomes a lot easier. And I learned that too myself. Hitting off the net is like a world of difference. So, yeah.
Especially at your size, I think that's even a bigger thing. You've done a really good job of maximizing, you know, the ability that you have of going into the weight room and getting everything that you really have out of yourself and being able to maximize your jump, maximize your swing, you know, maximize your ability to do these physical things. And it allows you then to be more creative and be a different type of volleyball player. And I think that's something that you did really, really well going into this season. Is that something that you focused on in the off season of making sure that, you know, your physical side is as big as it can be to make sure then you can it's just about volleyball technique at that point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's especially now, you know, I think taking this time off has been good for me. I put on, you know, 10 positive pounds in a month and a half. Like, and that's just from being able to focus on lifting. And then, you know, yeah, I haven't got to do as much leg stuff because I can't do explosion stuff on my ankle yet, but you better believe as soon as I come back, I'm getting my legs caught up to my upper body. And then, and I think I'll come back a lot healthier, stronger. And, you know, that's my goal every year, to come back and be way better than I was the year before and better than the year before.
What are some, and you've had the opportunity to watch like Coach Rock and myself have, what do you think some of the good things that have transpired this season with our volleyball team? What do you think are some of the things that we've gotten a lot better at throughout the last, 3 months now?
Well, I mean,
not to put you in the spot or anything.
Obviously, the technical stuff, I mean, that just comes with, you know, playing and getting the reps and trying to perfect yourself. But and then a lot of it comes from within yourself too. You know, if I want to get better, I'm going to make myself better and do whatever I can to get better. If not, you know, if I'm just here, I go through the motions. But I think our team's gotten a lot closer as a group, and that helps with on the court stuff. You know, I mean, closer off the court. But then that brings you together on the court. But Coach mentioned it, I think it was like last week or something, of, you know, when you're good friends off the court, you know, you got to be able to get on each other on the court. And so, you know, you don't take it personally. That just demands greatness out of somebody. So, you know, if I'm out there and I'm taking it super serious and I want to demand greatness out of myself, you know, and then I'm going to demand greatness out of you, if I get on your butt about it, you know, you can't take it to heart. Obviously, it's a sport. We're playing a sport we love, but you can't take that stuff to heart. So I think we've grown a lot in that aspect of the game, of being able to get on each other's back a little bit, you know, keep giving people pushes when they need it, and positive pushes. You know, it's not always yelling at somebody or trying to pump them up in a negative way. It's always a positive way, and that's why people do things that they do, you know, because they want something positive out of it.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've gotten a lot better at throughout the year, is trying to find that line between being competitive and not always having to be somebody's friend. Right? There's time and a place to be somebody's friend. On the volleyball court, it's not always that time, and it's a time to get people better, especially in the practice gym, and to try to maximize, like we talked about with you, maximize the potential that you might have moving forward. So thank you, Tony Price, for visiting with us this afternoon, and thank you for all the things you've done for our volleyball team this season, and kind of been a little bit of a leader for us off the court. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we'll bring back Coach Perrott, and we'll talk about our matches on Thursday against McKendree, Thursday against Ohio State and Saturday against McKendree. Come on back after the break.
180 million Americans rely on drinking water from forests often hundreds of miles away. These trees capture rain and snow, replenish rivers and streams, and keep our water pure. But we lose millions of acres of forest trees a year. And those trees must be replanted so your glass can be refilled. The Arbor Day Foundation asks for your help in replanting our national forests. Visit arborday.org. See how you can help.
My field, modern animation, is a growing field in importance because it's not related with cinematics or movies or entertainment industry. It's related with science and how artists help to scientists to make good renditions of something that is no longer available. That relationship and that collaboration is extremely important today.
Welcome back, everybody, to VolleyDons Weekly. I'm your host, JW Kiekefer. With me for the last segment, we have head coach Ryan Rock Perrott. A quick thank you to our second group of sponsors, IAB Bank, Indiana Physical Therapy, Molten, ONE, and Pizza Hut. Coach Perrott, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the con, as you like to call it, the con.
No, the con's in my office.
Oh, the con's in your office. This one's not the con.
This is not the con. This is a studio somewhere in some private location. Can't dispute, probably.
We often talk a lot about how injuries, especially with Pellegrin Vargas, is kind of taken a hold on our season and kind of brought us back maybe a little bit. But the injury that might have hurt us the most this year has been Tony Price going down in that first match. So talk a little bit about Tony and kind of what he has meant to the team even while he's been injured and kind of working his way back here.
I didn't know he was on the team. He's on the team. Here's what's very interesting. I tell this to everybody, and I said this the other day to Aaron Johnson, our sports information guy. If people listened to me years ago, the world would be in a much better place. When you participate in sports, injuries are a part of the game. There's no doubt about it. However, injuries have decimated 2 seasons for us thus far, at least since I took over inaugurally my first year last year and then this year. Last year we had, 3-4 starters, knock on wood. And then the very first match of the year, Tony lands on the player from Irvine's foot and damages a ligament that no one has even heard of. The ligament doesn't even have a name, so he gets injured on it, right? And he's been out all year. And it's very interesting because I listened to Tony talk, and 2 things come to mind immediately. Number 1 is what he has gone through off the court in terms of perspective, analysis, self-evaluation as well, along with evaluation of his teammates in the game. It's almost a new perspective when you get injured. Number 2 is a sign of maturity. I told everybody this before I took over. I said in 3 years, we're going to be very, very good as a volleyball team. The first 2 years is about processes, it's about systems, it's about implementation, it's about course correction, et cetera, et cetera. And I said in the 3rd year, we're going to be very, very good. And I told Aaron Johnson this the other day because he asked me, why do you think we're going to be very good? And here's the honest to God's answer. Is because of our maturity level and our leadership. And if you listen to Tony talk, he's vital. Remember, he's a junior, but he gets the red shirt, so he gets 2 extra years. So
he hasn't yet. He probably will get it.
Yeah, he'll probably, we hope, get the medical hardship. So he'll have 2 more years. And now this class of sophomores that we have, I think 9 of them,
a lot. It's going to be a lot.
And now include Tony a part of that. The reason why we are better this year, number 1, I'm a better coach than I was last year. You're a better coach than you were last year. We're better in terms of our system, et cetera. But it has to do primarily because of our players' maturity. And our maturity level, I guarantee you, from this spring going into the next fall, will take another step tenfold. And if you listen to Tony talk, that, of all the things, to me, that has been the greatest, and even though he hates to be injured, and anybody would, that has been his greatest process, is the maturation process, because you get a different viewpoint of how to go about the daily chore of being a college volleyball player. And I think Tony is there, and I think that's part of the reason why we're going to be very good next year.
And his competitive drive is going to take him to the next level and get him back to where he was this year. I have no worries about that. He's just so competitive, and he's going to get back to where he was last year, and probably even better than where he was last year.
And it's all about having the stars aligned and staying injury-free, and I have to do a better job of managing our players.
With that, let's talk a little bit about the Ohio State match coming up on Thursday. I mean, number 2 in the nation now. They lost to Irvine last week.
They should be number 1 in the nation, but a lot of the coaches don't know how to vote out there. They should still be number 1. Number 2 is talk about stars being aligned. Here's a team that hasn't had any injuries in 2 years. So they're and you need to be lucky to be good. But they're really good. They can serve and pass the ball. They have 2 superstars, Nicholas Surzin, who on the verge of probably being player of the year again, and then you have Miles Johnson at the opposite spot. Are they beatable? Yes. Irvine proved that in Columbus, but you have to do it. You have to stay close, and we can't allow separation. When Surzin goes back to serve, we can't allow a 6, 7, 8-point run. We got to keep it close, hopefully block some balls, and frustrate them a little bit.
Yeah, I think what people have done well against Ohio State recently is they've taken advantage of the serving miss runs that Ohio State can have, because Ohio State goes back and serves the ball so aggressively that they can go through a couple of runs of missing some serves, and it's those runs where they're missing serves that you have to take advantage of those and serve the ball aggressively yourself and score a bunch of points to create a lead, because you know they're going to go back and score some points with their serve.
Well, and the other thing too is they take advantage of when Nicholas Surzin is in the back row, because when you can serve the ball effectively and get them out of the big attack, then they're even more effective, because most teams just now line up on Miles Johnson. And Miles has been really inconsistent as of late the last 3 weeks with his hitting percentage, not with his serving, but that's what teams have done. They've taken advantage of that.
And that's going to be a big key for us. How well can we serve the ball to try to frustrate that Ohio State offense and not have to try to block 4 options consistently with how good their passers are. And then the match coming up on Saturday, we have to go out all the way down to St. Louis, Lebanon, Illinois, actually, for where McKendree's at, and play a very, very good McKendree team that's in their 4th year.
Well, for me, that's the Super Bowl matchup of the year, is the McKendree. It's the biggest match of the year. And I know we've blown a couple matches that we probably should have won. Maybe we'd be in a different position right now, but we're not. Both teams, I think, are 2-9. We both have 2 wins. I do know that.
Yeah.
But it is the Super Bowl, and I say that because the winner of the match on Saturday will be the 6th seed in the conference. Period. End of discussion. And that is important. And I know it's important for a couple reasons. Number one, you may have an opportunity to go to Grand Canyon, maybe in the first round. However,
it gets you away from Ohio State and Lewis.
See, that's the biggest one. I think the second, it gets you away from Ohio State and Lewis. And I think McKendree and us both match up against Grand Canyon very well, whether it's in Phoenix or not, doesn't matter. But it also gives you so much confidence going into the postseason. We have, 2 more weeks left, so 6 matches left with Ohio State McKendree. But the 4 matches remaining are all at home, and those are all revenge matches, as I call them, revenge matches. They will take care of themselves because emotion will take care of it. You're at home. You got senior weekend. You got a bunch of stuff going on. The match at McKendree is the match because last year when we went there, if you remember, we went 5. Probably had no business going 5. And they were as cocky to the world as imagined because they were a bunch of young guns and talented young guns at McKendree looking to prove to the world, at least the volleyball world, that they belonged. Well, this year they haven't lived up to the expectation. But this match on Saturday is the Super Bowl. I've already had it circled on my calendar about 3 weeks ago because this is our Super Bowl. Because if we can finish in 6th spot this year to finish off the season, provided we take care of business here at home, I'm telling you right now, rockets galore moving forward. And it's by far the biggest match of the year for us.
And I talked to the McKendree coaches earlier in the year, and they brought this point up to me that I didn't even know. The fact that we have never won at Lebanon or in McKendree, at McKendree, and they have never won in Fort Wayne. So it's been a very home-and-home type of rivalry the last couple of years where we've played a lot of 5-setters.
That's the thing.
But the team that's been home has won those 5th sets, so we're looking to break that streak coming up here.
But see,
really quick, we're only have a little bit of time left.
Both teams so young, that's why it's happened. That we've gone the distance in all the matches, virtually all the matches, 5 sets, but they're so young that home court advantage has made the difference.
And it's made a difference for every single match. So hopefully we can break that streak coming out here on Saturday when we go out to Lebanon.
Super Bowl. Can't wait.
Super Bowl. Well, thank you to Tony Price for stopping by with us and chatting. Thank you to head coach Ryan Rock-Perot for being here as always and being the face of the franchise for Fort Wayne men's volleyball. And thank you for listening to us talk and hopefully learn a little bit about volleyball in our upcoming season. So with that, we'll see you next week. Have a good night.